For thousands of years, a small strip of land along the eastern Mediterranean has been one of the most contested pieces of territory on earth. This land, known at different times as Canaan, Judea, Palestine, and Israel, sits at the crossroads of three continents and three great religions. To understand the conflict today, we must go back, far back, to where it all began. In ancient times, Jewish people built their kingdoms in this land. Jerusalem became their holy city, home to the sacred Temple of Solomon. But in 70 A.D., the Roman Empire destroyed the Second Temple and scattered the Jewish population across the world, an event known as a diaspora. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish communities lived across Europe, the Middle East, and beyond, holding on to their identity, their faith, and their dream of one day returning to their ancestral homeland. During those same centuries, Arab, Muslim, and Christian communities took root in the same land. Under the Ottoman Empire, which ruled the region for over 400 years, a predominantly Arab population lived, farmed, and built their lives in a territory they called Palestine. By the late 1800s, it was their home in every practical sense of the word. Then came a movement that would change everything. In the 1890s, a Jewish journalist named Theodor Herzl, horrified by the rising tide of antisemitism in Europe, founded the Zionist movement. His vision was bold and simple. The Jewish people needed a state of their own, and the land most Zionists looked to was Palestine, the ancient homeland of their ancestors. Jewish immigration to the region began to increase steadily. World War I cracked the Ottoman Empire wide open. Britain took control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate. In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, a letter promising support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, while also stating that nothing should be done to harm the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities. It was a promise that tried to satisfy two peoples, and fully satisfied neither. Through the 1920s and 1930s, tensions between Jewish immigrants and Arab Palestinians grew. Both communities wanted the same land. Violence erupted repeatedly. Then came the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jewish people by Nazi Germany. The world was shaken. International sympathy for a Jewish homeland reached its peak. Survivors of the Holocaust, with nowhere else to go, flooded into Palestine in enormous numbers. Britain, exhausted and unable to manage the chaos, handed the problem to the newly formed United Nations. In 1947, the UN proposed a partition plan, dividing Palestine into two states, one Jewish, one Arab. Jewish leaders accepted it. Arab leaders rejected it, arguing the plan was deeply unfair and ignored the rights of the Arab majority who made up most of the population. On May 14, 1948, Jewish leaders declared the establishment of the State of Israel. The very next day, 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon, invaded the new state. Israel survived, but what Israelis call their war of independence, Palestinians call the Nakba the catastrophe. Over 700,000 Palestinian Arabs fled or were expelled from their homes during the fighting, becoming refugees. The wounds of that moment have never fully healed. The decades that followed brought more wars, more displacement, and more pain. The Six-Day War of 1967 saw Israel capture the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. Settlements began to be built on Palestinian land. Generations of Palestinian refugees remained in camps across Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, waiting for a right of return that never came. Peace efforts have been made. The Oslo Accords of the 1990s raised hopes of a two-state solution. Leaders shook hands on the world stage. But final status agreements on borders, Jerusalem, refugees, and settlements were never reached. Trust collapsed. Violence returned through intifadas, rocket fire, blockades, and military operations, each cycle deepening the hatred and hardening the divide.